This is Punch Drunk Philosophy.
What the fuck is up, everybody? Welcome to Punch Drunk Philosophy. It is 1st of March 2016. We are coming off a very deserved win from Michael Bisping at UFC Fight Night 84 in London, and we shall be previewing UFC 196. Bosh, we don't mess around here. I'm your host, Adam Real, and joining me on the show this week, host of the Species Barrier, caregiver to, is a caregiver the right word? Because I don't want to use owner, because that's kind of shit. To three very, very handsome dogs, Mr. Marcus Dredge, fellow vegan ledge. How's it going, my man?
Doing well, ready to gloat about Bisping.
Yes. No, it was good. It was good to it was good picking that because it was a very, very, very one-sided sort of like prediction atmosphere before. Loads of people were going towards Anderson Silva, and like pro better. You know Luca Fury?
No.
Well, he's a pro gambler. He's kind of been exposed as a scam. He has like a premium betting service. I've kind of been following him because he has loads of subscribers and people who like pay money to have his betting advice, and I've been doing a lot better than him recently. Like he picks I bet big on Brian Barberina, he picked Sage Northcutt, I bet big on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and he said on Hendricks, and he said there's literally no way other than some kind of like Matt Serra GSP scenario that Thompson would beat Hendricks, and he sort of said, and he kind of dismissed Bisping's chances in this. And what's really, really annoying is he's sort of posting after, in retrospect, saying like, oh yeah, if you look at the Diaz fight, Silva's noticeably declined. His reaction's like, I was fucking saying this shit a week ago when you said Bisping had no chance. Like,
yeah, so was I. I just
exactly.
always thought that Silva was on a downward trend. You know, this might be his first fight as a clean athlete, for all we know. And, you know, he's had come off an injury and all sorts of things, whereas Bisping is very consistently good. I just thought Bisping was going to take it.
Yes, I think we were one of those people to recognise. I mean, before anybody starts the whole thing, oh, you're British, so you're obviously... I picked Kung Lee to beat Michael Bisping. So I'm not always influenced in those in regards to those picks. Okay, that was a while ago, but I don't think national bias really plays much of a thing in it. I mean, I don't care that much, even though having that moment in London was kind of special, you know.
Yeah, he's earned it, hasn't he? He's earned this moment, and we can get to it whether it's deserving of a title shot.
Oh God, he has. Just before, and kind of the prediction atmosphere before, do you think Anderson Silva fans, there's a kind of sense of delusion there because we just love this idea of the Spider. We love this character that he was for so long. This dominating, elite, seemingly indestructible champion. And we like the mythology of Anderson Silva and don't really want to buy what is essentially the reality that he's declined significantly and could very much well be a Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, I think so. And I think even his most ardent fans must be getting a bit tired of like his hijinks in the ring when he's just acting the fool constantly, not getting it done, you know, not getting those points in the round. And, you know, has a suspect chin, as we've seen with Weidman, and Bisping floored him, who's supposedly a very weak puncher. And, so I think he will be testing a lot of his ardent fans' patience now at this stage.
It's quite hard in terms of a fandom perspective of Anderson. I mean, we'll get on to more focus on Bisping in a minute, but I used to be a very, very big fan of Anderson Silva. I followed his career. I really enjoyed his career while he was a champion. But recently, he's just really, really annoyed me. Well, I think I got into MMA past the point, like a UFC 126, when he KO'd a guy, where he KO'd Viatil Belfort in the face and he was scoring flash knockouts again and everybody loved him again. But there was a period where Anderson Silva was really, really hated for his hijinks in the ring, just like dancing around, clowning, going for the decision, and sort of having a pretty padded record of not so high level opponents. But now in the kind of past year, with his really disgraceful lack of acknowledgement of testing positive for PEDs and the most pathetic excuse imaginable, like, oh my God, just own up to it, man. Fucking hell.
I think he thought he chose the most embarrassing reason that everyone think, oh, he wouldn't admit to that otherwise.
That's what they all do. It's the testicle defense. It's the same thing like when I was in school, all girls were able to get out of, like, with male teachers, like, if they were kind of pissing around trying to get out of class, they would say it was a menstruation thing, and then, like, the male teacher would just go, and go away. If you mention the genitals, that's sort of seen as a cop-out defense, as in, like, don't ask any more questions, sort of thing. I think that's kind of what Anderson Silva played, and it was bullshit. But what pissed me off in this fight was, okay, to recap the fight, Bisping takes round 1 and 2. I think that's right. He's got the hustle. He was taking round 3 until a knee at the end. Anderson Silva seemed to be doing this thing in the round to try and steal the rounds, would sort of pick up the pace in a very Robbie Lawler fashion, like play defensive for the majority of the round and try and steal it at the end by doing a flurry and like getting some kind of significance. The mouthpiece was out. Of course, Bisping should like let the referee do it and continuing focusing on the fight other than the mouthpiece. It was the way referee Herb was standing was quite ambiguous as to whether he was like bringing it in, stopping the fight for it. But Bisping shouldn't be telling the referee how to do his job. And Anderson Silva went and got a knee at the end of the buzzer. Now, firstly, Bisping wasn't knocked out. He wasn't knocked out. That was a big, big shot, especially when you're taking it without a mouthpiece, because that makes a big, big difference. He took a shot without a mouthpiece, and yeah, it floored him, but I don't think he was not knocked out. I mean, people saying he's knocked out, like, bollocks. He wouldn't have answered the bell for the 4th round if he didn't. And then Anderson Silva gets up on the cage and starts celebrating for ages and ages and ages whilst people are trying to pull him down and take it. He heard referee to say it wasn't over. He heard that. He understands that enough English to understand that. They were repeatedly telling him, yet he was being a dick and trying to con his way to a win, like embarrass the referee into stopping it, you know?
I think so as well, yeah.
Yeah. Am I playing a bit conspiracy theorist here? But if you watch like the sequence of events, he's clearly being told it's not over. He knows it's not over.
He must have known he was having a really bad time of it in the fight so far up to that point, and probably wanted a way out, and that was very convenient. But I think you've got to blame Michael Bisping for not defending himself in those last seconds of the round. I mean, you can't just start turning to the referee and talking like that. So it did a lot of damage to him, so I think it really altered the rest of the fight, taking such a knee like that. But like you say, it didn't knock him out. And in a way, Anderson Silva doing all this fake celebration gave Bisping that time to recover.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, he was conning at the end. Anderson was, and that was the only kind of like big success he had in the fight, really, apart from a couple of shots in the 5th round. Yeah. I don't know, that the whole kind of incident really, really irked me, because he was trying to con a stoppage. He knew that wasn't over, and he was trying to like make a big deal out of it and try and work a way out, but it clearly wasn't over. And yeah, I don't know, I just found it really, really unprofessional, and it pissed me off. But anyways, onto the decision overall, I don't think it's controversial, because Anderson was only able to steal the 3rd round because of the knee. And in regards to the 4th round, this is what's incredible about Michael Bisping. In the 4th round, it was his most active round offensively. He didn't like try and play defensive, try to recover, like, circle around the jab, circle around and try and avoid Anderson for that round. No, he went and took it back. He was very. If you look at I'll pull up for those of us on YouTube. I will pull up the fight metric stats now. It's all Michael Bisping, really. His offensive output in the 4th round is exceptional. He really took that back. I mean, Anderson Silva had a little flurry at the end, but I don't see that. I
thought that was very strange that, like you said, as I've said earlier, the increased celebration just gave him the chance to recover. But then he also took it very easy in round 4. Silva didn't capitalise on that dazing him at the end of round 3. He took it easy again, like you say, till the end of the round. So he just wasn't playing it smart at all if he wanted to get Bisping out of there.
No, not at all. And then there was the 5th round where he knew there was a finish. I think there's been a lot of accusations like, this is the most deluded fucking thing I've heard from Anderson Silva fans. Just like, oh, Anderson could have won, but he didn't want to, sort of thing. Like, he could have knocked Bisping out at any time. No, he couldn't. all that kind of clowning, that movement, it served an offensive purpose, but only when he had a reputation. He was looking for Bisping to make mistakes for Anderson to capitalize on, and Bisping wasn't giving them. He wasn't making those mistakes. He was very, very well prepared. He was very, very focused. He made very, very effective use of exceptional use of fundamentals, and yeah, he schooled Anderson that fight. He schooled him. If you scored that fight for Anderson Silva, you don't know what you're watching. You don't know MMA. You don't know striking. Like, you don't know how much was being pushed the pace in the footwork, how much he controlled the action. He was outlanding him quite considerably, and he knocked him down in the second round. That's when Anderson knew he was in a fucking fight, and could be hurt. So Anderson wasn't going to go in. If you look at the fight in there as well, like counter strikes, he barely did fucking any. Anderson's counter strikes in there were pretty ineffective. Bisping had an answer for all of them. The only strikes, apart from, like, I guess the front kick, could you count that as a counter strike? Yeah, maybe. But Anderson's offensive success was when he was going forward, when he was trying to push the pace, rather than when he was sitting back and counter striking. So I don't know why he gave away so much time. Well, I do know, because he was afraid of getting countered. He was afraid of getting knocked out, because Bisping was very fucking well prepared. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my analysis on the fight.
Yeah, I don't think he had any ways of damaging Bisping or doing him any serious damage throughout the fight, apart from that one moment of Bisping being distracted, where he had a free shot, essentially.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would say Bisping's game plan was pretty perfect the whole fight.
It was, like, close to exceptional, and yeah, on the knee again, like, it is a cheap shot. Like, obviously it counts. Obviously it's technically within the rules. I'm not going to dispute that. But it's a cheap shot. Like, Anderson doesn't deserve much credit. He didn't create the opportunity. He capitalized on an opportunity.
Yes.
So I don't give him much credit for that. He lost this fight. If that knee didn't happen, would you think it would have been a finish for Bisping, or a 50-45 possibly?
Yes, I think he would. I think he'd have probably won every round if it hadn't been for that. I think it took some of the steam out of Bisping, as you'd imagine. But yeah, I think the knee was a very crucial moment for multitude of reasons, and all the more credit for Bisping for coming through it. Yeah.
It was exceptional. In regards to Bisping overall, like, that was a beautiful moment. Just him, like, taking in the win, getting on top of the cage, screaming to his fans, being undefeated in the UK, getting that redemption over the person who reigned over him as champion for so long. And especially with, like, you know, the PED narrative in here. It was fucking beautiful. I mean, I'm so happy for Bisping. I'm so grateful for everything he's done in his career. I don't know, did you get a bit emotional as this as well, Marcus, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good storyline. It's a good storyline that he's doing, you know, this. He's always been the British hope, hasn't he, in MMA, really. Still is to a great extent. And to do that in front of the UK audience over such a key figure as Anderson Silva is just a really great fight and a great story, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so let's go into what Bisping does next. So you believe he might get a title shot or deserves it?
Yes,
is that correct?
Yes, I think it's pretty straightforward, because I think Chikara is going to fight against Belfort. And I think, obviously, Weidman's fighting Rockhold, and Romero is sidelined due to his drug test. So I think Bisping is the biggest name you could have to fight the winner of the upcoming title fight.
He is, yes, but I don't want to. I know this sort of sounds bad, but obviously it's a tough sell, because Rockhold, it was a beatdown. I think Rockhold is several levels above Bisping. Bisping is one of those guys I think is very, very, very good. And at a time, if the sport was clean, I think he could have taken the title. But the damage he's accumulated, especially like around his eye, I think has played a factor. He's a guy who I think lacks a few of those natural gifts that a lot of the elite fighters have. But he's got to where he is because of exceptionally, ridiculously hard work and just brilliant motivation and dedication to the sport. That's what's got Bisping where he's at. I don't think he can take it beyond Rockhold. I don't think he can take out Rockhold. I don't think he can take out Weidman. I don't think he really can crack the top three.
No.
Although what you say though, with the title picture as it is, it makes sense. It does make sense.
I think he makes the most sense. Like you, I don't think he could beat either Weidman or Rockhold, but it makes sense. It'll be a big selling fight, and the lead up to it will be a lot of fun. And he, of course, claims that Rockhold headbutted him, doesn't he, in the last encounter? So
well, he did, yeah.
It gives him a chance to, fight again, and this time lose fairly, or see what happens. Yeah.
So, what did you think in regards to the Bisping-Nick Diaz fight that's been talked about?
That would be really good. We'd have a lot of parallels with Conor McGregor fighting Nate Diaz. There's the big mouth UK and Ireland versus a Diaz brother. It'd be quite similar. I think it'd be, again, a very popular fight.
I think that's what I want more for him, to be honest. That would be an exceptional performance. There'll be a lot of shit talk over hand. And I think that's the kind of fight that can draw Nick Diaz back. Because Nick Diaz only wants big fights. He's only going to go for those. He's only going to go for the big money fights. He's not going to work his way up as a contender. So I think that's the best fight all round. I want to see Bisping in cool fights from now on till the end of his career. Because I think, and also with the damage he's taken, especially around his eye, I don't want him left with any permanent injuries. I'm scared if he goes in against Rockhold or Romero or these kind of top-level guys, they're going to fuck him up and his eye is going to be even worse, and that's going to cause him a lot of health problems in later life. I want Michael Bisping to be able to walk off into the sunset after his career and live a happy, healthy life, So Nick Diaz is not going to harm him as much.
No.
So
I think Bisping would win that, actually.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, exceptional performance from Michael Bisping. Let's quickly go down the rest of the card. Gegard Mousasi defeats Charles Latest by unanimous decision. A calm affair. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's a very safe fight, and he was open about that, wasn't he? That he was just trying to avoid defeat. He didn't want another defeat on his record. He's a bit haunted by the Uriah Hall results, so I think he was just playing it very safe.
Yeah, agreed. But it was a technical masterpiece, though. Mousasi is such a good technician. He's very clinical, complete domination, start to finish, very good game planning. Excellent job. Tom Breese, a very exciting British prospect coming out of TriStar at the moment. He pulled off a unanimous decision win, but Nakamura was game. Nakamura was very game. It wasn't the first round knockout for Breese that a lot of people predicted. Takes Breese to the distance for the first time in his career. So it was a cool fight all around. A shame about the stream, though, cutting out, so nobody saw the first round.
Oh, yeah, I got logged out. Is that what it was? I got logged out of Fight Pass during one of the fights.
Oh, well, yeah, Tom Breese, Nakamura, in the first round, the Fight Pass stream cut out.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was a weird one. But that was quite bad for the UFC. I'm surprised nobody's really mentioned that much, because it reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever seen the Silicon Valley episode, where they have a stream with the UFC that sort of cuts out and it causes a corporate nightmare. Because this was the biggest event in the history of UFC Fight Pass, so there were more people streaming onto it than any time in history. And a whole round was missing. If this had happened during the main event, obviously, I think there would be a lot more stick. But this was the main card. It's sort of weird that nobody was talking about it, but obviously overshadowed by the main event. Anyways, Brad Pickett. Yeah.
I think the whole. Sorry, I was just going to say that I think the whole atmosphere of the card was a bit flat, and I think the audience at home were probably feeling that as well. So I don't think they were that bothered to probably miss a round from that fight. But had it happened in the high octane main event, then yeah, there'd be huge complaints.
Yeah, or if we'd missed a finish or something.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Brad Pickett, Francisco Rivera. Brad Pickett wins by split decision. I remember thinking that Pickett won because I think he just did more. Francisco Rivera was very laid back. Of course, every time people say like Pickett has a bad chin, I disagree. It's just when he takes the shot, he looks like he takes a shot. Some people have those kind of movements when they react to being hit. They're not necessarily less effective, but aesthetically they seem like they're doing more damage. I mean, obviously Rivera can hit, but yeah, I don't think he was anywhere close to knocking Brad Pickett out in this one.
I think I I think I had Rivera winning it, but it was very close.
Yeah, it was nice to see Pickett get a win though, and he got very emotional after the fight, which I love to see. To be honest, it was really cool to see how much it meant to him, and kudos. But I think he should have retired there and then, because he is a guy who struggled, and it's sort of a new level of bantamweight as well. Because I don't think he's fast enough for the flyweight division, but I think he's too small for the bantamweight division. Because at the moment, especially in bantamweight, we've got quite big guys for the division that are cruising around there that I think he's going to struggle competing with.
I don't think they see him as an international fighter. It seems like they almost wheel him out for UK fight cards generally.
Yeah. Well, last one was UFC 189 though. That was Vegas.
Yeah.
But he's a cool guy. Guy. I just wish he sort of like. That was probably a good call to walk off into the sunset, because very few fighters are able to take that good opportunity to go out on high. But I don't. It'll be interesting to see what they do with them next. Next one fight down, Makwan Amikani defeats Mike Wilkinson by unanimous decision. Makwan Amikani, he's the guy I tipped as a prospect, big prospect before this, and I'm kind of happy that this went the distance, because Wilkinson was very, very game. He posed a lot of threat with his guillotines, and Amikani was very, very well prepared for this. We saw that this dude has game. Like exceptional takedowns, exceptional guard passing, great submission defense. Amikani is legit. What did you make of this performance?
I would say Americani wouldn't be totally happy with that performance. I mean, it was a bit closer than he would have liked. I think the two judges who saw 1 point in it was about right. I think Wilkinson, like you said, he kept having good guillotine attempts.
Yeah, it was a cool fight. I mean, Wilkinson certainly did not embarrass himself. Wilkinson came out of it very well. I don't know. Amikani is one guy I want to see on sort of keep rising. David Grant defeats Marlon Vera by unanimous decision, 30-26. David Grant, good to see him back after the Ultimate Fighter who lost on there. He was the one who was a really dirty fighter, wasn't he? Like elbowing people on the spine and shit.
Oh, I don't remember that. I did see the series he was in, and I remember him.
Yeah,
but I don't
Rousey
remember.
Tate, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him doing stuff like elbowing guys in the spine and just being a really dirty fighter. It was. But anyways, and then Scott Askham scores a fucking awesome brutal head kick over Chris Dempsey. Ouch. And Arnold Allen, very young British prospect. Well, technically he knocked out Yeltsin Mazer right at the end of the round.
Yes.
Right at the end of the fight. Sort of a buzzer beater, kind of a bit more effective version of what Anderson Silva did to Bisping at the end of the third round. Exceptional performance from Arnold Allen. And like Makwan Amikani, a really exciting rising prospect. Krzysztof Jotko defeats Brad Scott, unanimous decision. Rustam Khabilov defeats Norman Park, unanimous decision. Awful fight between Daniel Omelianchuk and Georgia Stanho, with multiple groin strikes, forcing the bout into a technical decision in the first round, won by Omelianchuk.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with either of those guys, and they, just trying to find some depth in the heavyweight division, I suppose.
I've seen Omelianchuk before. He's all right. He's done some good stuff. He's sort of a Polish prospect. He won by TKO before on, I think, the UFC Scotland card. So, and he fought, I think, UFC 165, maybe he was on that as well. The Toronto, yeah, maybe but yeah, he's pulled out some. But these guys were just not very good cardio wise. They didn't really commit to it. It was a terrible fight. And then the two finishers though, starting off the card, Timu Pakalan, they finish or Swedish, awesome. Drops Guti with an uppercut and locks up a rear naked choke fast in 24 seconds. Dude has skills. I'm going to watch out for this guy Timu, because exceptional rising prospect. Scandinavian MMA looked very good this night. And David Timur, Timur, I'm going to call him Timur. He's not an island in near Indonesia. I think he looked exceptional. His striking game was awesome, and he scored the uppercut over Martin Svensson. Just had brilliant movement, brilliant control of distance, and he lost it emotionally at the end of the fight. It was beautiful. I love when guys do that. I love when they just show like really how much that fight means to them, and just let it go in that regard. I thought that was pretty cool. What did you make of that performance?
Yeah, I think Svensson was from the recent Conor McGregor season of Ultimate Fighter, wasn't he?
I think Tamer was as well, yeah.
Oh, well, they both were. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that was a good start. It all went a bit flat after the first two fights, didn't it?
Yeah, that heavyweight fight kind of killed the vibe. You know when you sort of see two heavyweights and it goes sort of semi the distance, it's like, oh. Low-level heavyweights are just the worst fights. Anyways, that is our UFC London review. Now let's move on to what's coming up this weekend. UFC 196. Holy shit, this is a good event. Holy shit. Headlined by Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. One of the first times, I think, since, was it Tito and Vitor, that a non-title fight is headlined over a title fight with Holly Holm, Miesha Tate in the co-main event. Either way, we are in for a treat, fight fans. We are in for a treat. Let's first get into the main event then. Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. Marcus, well, I assume you're picking McGregor, the main event here, but hey, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, until he starts losing, I'm going to stay with Conor McGregor. It's a very strange fight, them both being up at welterweight, and just, they're both, Conor McGregor's jumping 2 weight categories. We don't know how he'll be, but obviously Nate Diaz isn't a natural welterweight either, so just, I think the odds are a bit unfair to Nate Diaz, but until he starts losing, I'm going with Conor McGregor's predictions.
I agree with that. I mean, Conor McGregor is one of those guys you believe can be anybody. If he says something, he says it with such confidence, and he's proved himself so much so far. You've got to have faith in the guy. He definitely knows his shit. He's definitely dedicated. He's definitely very focused. So if he believes he can win a fight, I'm pretty sure he can. Nate Diaz, though, he does pose a very interesting set of difficulties that if Conor McGregor overcomes, it will be fucking fascinating to see how he does it. Diaz obviously has a lot of strengths. He has his jab cross, that when he plants it, when he starts landing his jab on guys, he starts landing all his combos and gets it very accurate, very effective, very clinical, able to keep them at distance and quite often finish them. He's also got that reach advantage. He's only got 2-inch reach advantage, but when you have that style of keeping people on the end of your punches, that does make a lot of difference. He uses it very, very, very fucking well. If you've ever played the UFC on the UFC game, I play against Charlie on it. Anytime he's playing as Nate Diaz, it's fucking impossible because he gets that jab cross going. It's so hard to beat. And obviously, like, Diaz has got his cardio. He's got his cardio that can go for days. This is one thing that I'll be very interested for in this fight because Conor McGregor's moved up to 170. He's accumulated a lot of muscle mass, and we've not really seen him. We've not really seen him go the distance other than the Max Holloway fight, but he was really able to dictate the pace in that. So it'd be interesting if on like his kind of bodybuilder diet and with all the new muscle that the cardiovascular system has to power, if he starts slowing towards the later rounds, because Diaz obviously can continue for ages, and he's got those clinch and the body lock takedowns, and he's got presumed superiority in the BJJ. So if it gets into the later rounds, I have to favour Diaz a bit, and especially if he's able to establish that jab cross on the smaller opponent, he would be able to give McGregor problems. I don't know. What do you make of Diaz's skill set in this fight, and how do you think Conor McGregor would prepare for it?
Well, I think, the interesting thing about this fight is we get to see Conor McGregor as the smaller fighter, don't we? Whereas usually he was always calling them midgets down in the lower divisions and able to lord it over them. So we'll see that for the first time, a slight reach advantage, like you said. So, I think that's what Nate Diaz will be trying to do, just accumulate lots of jabs and so on. But I think Conor McGregor, plus added bulk and muscle, I think he's going to be packing a lot of power because we already know how hard he hits and how lethal he is. So I think when he starts landing punches on Nate Diaz, I think it's going to be lights out.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I definitely think is the most rational predict. I might throw a tenner on Diaz submission just in case, and not really losing much, but yeah, I definitely think Conor McGregor first round knockout is the most likely scenario for this fight. The best fight to study I found for this was sort of Diaz versus Thompson. Thompson able to score a second round knockout over Diaz, and obviously being the smaller fighter. Diaz does seem to have a little bit of what's called in striking often tall man complacence. When you have that kind of size advantage over someone, you're a lot higher up than them. You drop your hands more because you expect the shots to be coming from below. I do this a lot because I'm 6'2" and I fight. I guess lightweight. I don't know, around. I'm about 70 kilos. So well, I'm not 70 kilos anymore. I've just got a bit of fat, but irrelevant. I'm trying. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I do this a bit because I'm taller than most people I spar. Is I drop my hands and then as soon as something can come over the top or can get through, it becomes a shock and you don't expect it to. You saw that in the Diaz-Thompson fight with the head kicks.
It's probably,
Yo, Marcus, you there?
your microphone's broken up really badly. Just for this section where you're talking about when you're sparring, I would maybe reconnect and do it again. I don't know.
No, it's all right. It won't mess with the recording anyway because it's recording straight into my laptop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's okay then.
Yeah. So whatever happens.
Yeah, I could get the gist of what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But yeah, and also in the Thompson fight, you saw he had a susceptibility to kicks and just that kind of technical wizardry and just not standing right in front of him. If you use kind of lateral movement or you circle, Diaz isn't one of those guys that gives you a lot of problems when you're circling, because usually if you want to corner a fighter, you cut off the cage, you put a head kick or a big hook in their way. Diaz's attack is very front. It's very. I'm trying to remember the words for it, but yeah, it always comes forward. It's the jabs and the crosses and the small tight hooks. Yeah, you've not got that much to worry about on the side. Conor McGregor is just too technically proficient. He moves very well. He makes great use of a big array of kicks. So I expect to see some kind of spinning kicks, some hook kicks, really mixing up and using his kind of bigger, rangier strikes rather than engaging in just a boxing thing. But, what do you think of McGregor in terms of this? He doesn't use that much head movement and he does have his guard low. Do you think we could see Diaz start planting shots on him?
Right, yes. I was going to say that a significant fight for Diaz to watch might be the Joe Duffy one. So obviously Joe Duffy's got that boxing style as well. And I'd assume he's a bit taller and a bit rangier than Conor. So, Andy's also obviously ended in a submission, which Nate Diaz would be good at as well. So I think that might be the blueprint for Diaz to look to.
Yeah, definitely. That was a while ago, though. Conor McGregor is a different beast now. Yeah. He is a different beast. It is a fascinating fight. I mean, it's one of those to sit back and enjoy, really, because if it's another challenge for Conor McGregor, and he's got such a fascinating array of skills. It's so sad. It's almost sad that his last performance was only 13 seconds because we've not been able to see him as much. Because we want to be able to see all the kind of fascinating more techniques he has to display, all the kind of ways he can push himself, all the challenges that he can overcome. So I'm very, very excited for this one. Obviously, the pre-fight build-up is fucking awesome. The press conference was hilarious. I don't think. Did you watch the press conference, Marcus?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Do you think either is in either's head at all?
No, I think we joked before about would Nate Diaz be able to hold it together when Conor was trash talking to him, or would there be brawls everywhere? But I think the Diaz brothers have always been pretty open about wanting to make money from UFC. And I think, like Conor said, for Nate Diaz, this is red panty night, and he's going to become a millionaire. So he seemed quite satisfied to me. He didn't seem overly bothered by Conor's trash talking.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I compared it to, I don't know if have you ever watched 30 Rock?
I've seen some of it, yeah.
Well, basically, this character Paige, Kenneth, who's kind of like this very simple, this very simple guy from Georgia or something, and he's playing poker with the boss Jack, and he keeps winning against the boss because the boss is trying to read him, but what he's reading just isn't there because the guy's quite simple. I mean, obviously not to call Diaz simple in a insulting way. But what McGregor is looking for in his opponents isn't there in Diaz. He's just Diaz literally, when it comes to this aspect of the fight game, does not give a fuck. He is not intimidated in the slightest. This guy's from fucking Stockton. Stockton is a scary, scary place. And if he's a tough guy with that kind of mouth in Stockton, dude has some cojones. He's not intimidated by McGregor in the slightest.
No. Yeah, I don't think that factors, but it was a fun press conference. But I don't think anyone's getting, if anyone got in anyone's head, it was probably Diaz talking about the steroids that seemed to really annoy McGregor.
Yeah, I think that annoys McGregor, but I think McGregor is smart enough. I agree in that aspect. If anybody kind of got anything through or shocked him, because McGregor did seem like quite thrown off at some points with the steroids thing and with how Diaz is reacting to some things, because he just wasn't responding in the way he hoped to. This wasn't a fight he can win before he gets in there, like via psychological intimidation. But hey, Diaz is very, very, very headstrong in that regard. Well, let's go back to the steroid accusations. It was quite bizarre for him to sort of like go full on about that. What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, do you think Conor was perhaps prepared for it because he had the inconsistencies in Diaz's own team regarding steroids ready to go, didn't he? He had it ready to go, the fighters who'd failed. So, I don't know. Obviously, the Diaz brothers are very proud of being clean. And Conor McGregor was mocking his body, wasn't he? Saying he's the softest, thin guy and all this kind of stuff. So, they're going to say that to have gained all this weight in quality muscle in a short amount of time and jumped to weight classes, I think his camp are alleging Conor McGregor might have used some special supplements. Yeah,
it's always this subject's always a hard one because I don't want to be naive and I don't want to be too cynical. So we're not going to speculate on whether like McGregor actually is using, but the Diaz camp using this as a sort of accusation sort of thing is very, very smart, because either they'll annoy McGregor, or if he actually is on something, that's a good kind of little mental wedge to get in there, a good way to kind of intimidate McGregor. I don't think with easily mentioning Jake Shields and Gilbert Melendez about steroids, I don't think that was something kind of like prepared or a sign that like McGregor was sort of preparing for Diaz to say something about steroids. Because I was thinking that whilst he was talking about steroids. So I think McGregor's just kind of quick-witted. Because it is hypocritical for him to be sort of like shouting at steroid users and that, and shouting them down, whilst obviously being close buddies with two people who've got popped. And and then he was asking him all those questions like, did you know you were on them? Did you know they were on them? Did you know they were on them? Which I thought was pretty cool and since turning around. But yeah, from that he couldn't get really a rise out of Diaz. It was more, Diaz was very consistent. He just didn't give a fuck. This is going to be a fun fight.
One thing the Diaz brothers do is they like to make excuses, don't they, after the fight? They never take losing in very good, in good form. So, like to this day, Nick Diaz still goes on about GSP being on steroids and everyone else, basically. So there could be an element of getting your excuse in early, yeah.
We'll look for that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what excuse he uses if he does get knocked out, or he might pull out. I'm not counting Diaz completely out. There are a lot of factors, as with any fight, that are out of our knowledge right now. But I'm concluding. To summarise, my pick is Conor McGregor first round knockout. Marcus, your pick?
Same. Yeah.
Same. Marcus is going for Conor McGregor by a first round knockout. Okay, I said buyer then. What a great word. A mixture of buy and via.
Buyer.
Couldn't decide which one to go for, so why not both? A buyer knockouts. Okay, continuing on UFC 196, we move on to the co-main event. Holy shit, this is a co-main event? Fucking sweet. This is such an enjoyable fight as well, Holly Holm Miesha Tate, because I've never seen a fight so kind of split down the middle in picks. And really people just sort of look at it and go, I'm not really sure. Because, yeah, this is a very, very hard one to pick. You would think in sort of straightforward MMA math, which used to be like the grounds for many people making predictions in fights, that Holly Holm beat Ronda Rousey, who beat Miesha Tate, so Holly Holm should win. But we know fighting is not that simple. Miesha Tate is a very, very crafty veteran. She has lacked fight IQ in the past. Like, she's made some kind of like small mistakes, lapse in her judgment, especially like the Ronda Rousey fight at UFC 168. Just sort of going into the clinch with her way too willingly when she was getting the better of a lot of stand-up exchanges. And, against Sarah McMahon and Rinda Kai, just sort of letting her back be taken too complacently. But since then, her last 3 performances have been fucking good. Miesha Tate has been rising and getting on a very, very good level. And I think she's at one of the best points in her career. Holly Holm, obviously coming off the big win over Ronda Rousey, where she reached a new level, I think, because a lot of people kind of doubted her because she had a split decision win. She was kind of cruising, kind of complacent, didn't seem to have much of that threatening. Then when she gets into the Ronda Rousey fight, then it's a whole new level. Okay, Marcus, Holly Holm versus Miesha Tate. Who are you predicting and why?
Yeah, I think it's a very good matchup for Miesha Tate. I think she can really weather the storm from Holly and stay tough throughout. So, like you say, it is a close fight. I'll go for Holly Holm as the champion. I think she will pull it out, but I think Miesha Tate's going to give her toughest fight in the UFC so far.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's a much harder matchup than Ronda Rousey, I think. I mean, obviously this would sound crazy quite a while ago, but Ronda Rousey, like, she would just come in straight. She didn't have very good footwork. She didn't have very good, anything in that fight. Whereas Miesha Tate will obviously be a lot craftier with her entries, and she's much more of a threat when it comes to takedowns, because it's not... Holly Holm is experienced in the clinch. She seems to have very, very good clinch work. She seems to create barriers very well that was able to obstruct Ronda Rousey from getting any throws. Miesha Tate, though, she shoots down, gets a double or a single leg, and even when she doesn't get it the first time around, she's able to chain together takedown attempts so fucking well, and really grind it out and get the finish. So we've never seen Holly Holm really, really pressed with a wrestler like that. And often when Holm goes into the sideways stance, that leaves you open for the single leg. So it would be interesting if Miesha Tate is able to consistently take Holly Holm down. Then I see her swinging by decision. I think this is going to go the distance. But I think what it depends on is, will Holly Holm get more knockdowns or cause more damage, or will Miesha Tate score more takedowns? Do you see like Miesha Tate getting rocked at all in this fight, and do you see Holly Holm getting taken down repeatedly, Marcus?
I think through cumulative damage, I think Holly Holm will win this in like the middle rounds. That's my thoughts on it, but I think it's got a strong chance of being fight of the night. I think it could really be a back and forth battle.
Oh God, yeah, because they've got so many problems to offer each other. Because that, and they're such tough veterans. They've got a lot of heart. They're really going for it. They've got a lot of cardio in the bag as well. I mean, I don't doubt either of these athletes' cardio. So yeah, I agree. Probably fight of the night. This is going to be exceptional. I've been looking at a lot of tape for a couple of these fights, really trying to find something to point to say, yes, definitely. But I think it's really out of our knowledge right now, because Holly Holm is one of those that's risen quite quickly. She's signed with the UFC relatively recently. I mean, in 2015, she was signed and then won the title within the year. So, I mean, I'm not calling her really untested, because obviously she's a champion, but we've not seen her against some of these elite skill sets. Definitely not an elite skill set like Miesha Tate. So I really don't want to pick this fight just simply to say No, but should I go for Miesha Tate? Because I think she could take a decision. However, no. I mean, the thing that swings this actually for me to Holly Holm is the fact she's got Jackson Winkeljong in the corner. And she's shown that she has incredible discipline when it comes to game planning, incredible kind of like very good in-fight IQ, very good decision making, so she can make great adjustments. She's a very, very, very experienced fighter from obviously a career in boxing, career in that. And yeah, so I think she's got that little bit more smarts when it comes to it than Miesha Tate. I mean, obviously not knocking Miesha Tate. She's a very intelligent fighter herself, very skilled. But maybe Holly Holm's just got that little bit of an edge. So yeah, maybe a good
fight to look back to would probably be Raquel Pennington, because she's like a very inferior version of Miesha Tate, and she gave Holly some problems, didn't she?
Yeah, fuck it. Miesha Tate decision is my pick. Yeah. No, I'm just thinking about it. I'm thinking Miesha Tate being able to chain together those takedowns. I think she'll be able to grab a few, like get a few kind of like sneaky double legs, sneaky signal legs, and take Holly Holm's back. Just kind of swing the fight via taking dominant positions, you know. She's got good striking, and I think it's obviously like Holly Holm is better. Holly Holm could, if Miesha Tate spends too long on the feet with Holm, then Holm could knock her out very easily. But if Miesha Tate chains together a bunch of takedowns and swings them and is able like near the end of every round be able to get a dominant position on Holm, then she can kind of swing a decision, or just for 3 rounds, just take her back and like take her down once for the end of like 3 rounds, and then Miesha Tate has the belt. I think Miesha Tate can do that. That's what I think. Even though, oh no, wait, Izzy Martinez back again. All right, Holly Holm wins by knockout. Okay, all right, I'll settle on that. Holly Holm by late 4th round TKO. I'll go by that. Even though Miesha Tate has a good chin. No. Staying on it. See, this is just such a pick and fight. This is like one of those fascinating fights because there's so much we don't know about it until they get in there, basically. So, what else is there to say?
Looking forward to this one. It should be good.
Yeah, very good one. To summarize, what's your pick?
Holly Holm. Mid. I don't know, either the 2nd or 3rd round.
2nd, 3rd round TKO. I'm picking 4th TKO. Okay, let's move down the card a bit. Just quick words. This card's quite weirdly structured. We used to sort of like have a meritocracy with the best fights on top, and it's sort of gradually going down. But now, obviously, we've got the Fight Pass main event that they're doing now, and they seem to headline prelims with better fights than are put on the middle of the pay-per-view. They always try to start the pay-per-view with something really good. So, like, you know, you think, oh, what's the next fight coming up? Oh, okay, that one's really good. Yeah, I'll swing that. And I think they've done that in that. The 2 light heavyweight fights, not knocking Gianvillante, Ilir Latifi, Corey Anderson, and Tom Lawler. They're all great fighters, and they'll be very exciting fights. But they're just not so relevant, and there's not as much interesting stuff to talk about them. Do you have any opinions on Gianvillante, Ilir Latifi? I'm going those. I mean, obviously, Ilir Latifi came into the UFC in very interesting circumstances, late notice against Gegard Mousasi. He survived, I guess, knocked him down a bit near the end of the 3rd round. It was a good fight. And has been a very, very dangerous finisher since coming into the UFC, grabbing up submissions really quickly, grabbing really quick knockouts. Had the weird performance in Poland. No, it wasn't in Poland. It was somewhere, with Jan Blachowicz. Who TKO'd him with a body shot. But Ilir Latifi is still pretty fucking dangerous. He's over at American Top Team now. Gianvillante, the Sarah Longo fight team, I think he is. Yeah, and he's a very, very entertaining guy, very likable. If you've seen him on like The Embedded with Chris Weidman. I'm not sure where to stand on this. I mean, Gianvillante's shown that he has a chin most of the time, but Ilir Latifi's got some serious fucking power. So I'm going to take Ilir Latifi by knockout in this one. Marcus, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I'd lean towards Latifi, but yeah, very close fight, I think.
Okay, Latifi by knockout, or?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think maybe Yeah, no, I'm not sure on that one yet, but I think Latifi I'm leaning towards.
Okay, coolio. Let's move down to, sorry, Corey Anderson, Tom Lawler. Let's just get through that.
Just skip.
It's a good fight. Corey Anderson's an interesting prospect. Tom Lawler is obviously pretty fun. But yeah, I'm more interested in Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko. Obviously, this is a number one contender fight, in my opinion. Amanda Nunes coming off that incredible win over Sarah McMahon. Just, domination in that. She's a really aggressive finisher. And Valentina Shevchenko is a prospect I'm very, very interested in. Shevchenko, she's from Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek, very nice city. I was reading this thing with her, and it said like a lifelong dedication to martial arts, because she started in Taekwondo for a lifelong dedication to martial arts inspired her to move to Lima, Peru. Lima, Peru, very interesting place. Not immediately what I would say is kind of like a destination for wannabe full-time martial artists. But she seems to have had a lot of success there. She's done very well there. Peru does have a good fight scene, actually. In terms of their MMA scene, they have Peru Fighting Championships, which seems to be a very, very good promotion, has a lot of its shit together, has a lot of good fighters. But yeah, she's also a nomad when it comes to just general camps and gyms. I mean, she trains in Peru, she trained in Russia, she trained in Kyrgyzstan, she's trained in Thailand quite a lot over at Tiger Muay Thai, she's trained at Gracie Barra, Texas, she's trained at Gracie Barra, Florida, I think Orlando maybe. But yeah, she's got a kind of nomadic relationship with studying martial arts, that kind of like romantic idea of the traveling martial artist. So that makes her a very, very interesting character, because the kind of internal strength it takes for an individual to be able to jump and reset and learn and start in a new place all over and again and get something so good out of it. It's very impressive, and that makes me very interested in her as a personality, her as a character. She also has a degree. She also has a degree in film directing as well, which is, she's just got some loads of interesting aspects of her character. So it does pose an interesting thing, because there are all fighters seem to want to form this symbiotic relationship with their coaches, and you've got people like McGregor who talk very much about like camp loyalty, like staying with your own and rising up and getting that kind of communal strength, as it were, rather than that individual relationship with all the techniques you accumulate from various coaches and that kind of. I don't want to get too romanticized into the idea of like, traveling the world, studying different martial arts, but I think she's quite cool for that. She's 56-2 in kickboxing as well. She's amassed a 12-1 record in MMA. She took a fight recently, a UFC debut. She took against Sarah Kaufman, one of the most dangerous and elite fighters in the women's bantamweight division. She took it on 8 days' notice. I won't say she dominated, but she definitely took the first 2 rounds with some very, very effective technique. She's great in the clinch. She's got some great strikes on there, obviously. From there, she's not much of a guard passer, doesn't do that much damage on there, but had some very sneaky takedowns, some really cool stuff. Amanda Nunes, one of those who wins in the first round consistently. She's a beast in the first round, very terrifying. Able to take fighters out and put them away in the first round quite early, quite effectively. But drag her beyond that, her cardio doesn't hold up, and she can be quit, like she did against what's her name, Alexis Davis. Took her into the second round, beat her up. Kat Zingano took her into the third round, beat her up. Yeah. What's the deal with Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko?
Yeah. So again, that sounds like a very good fight. Amanda Nunes, I would say, is probably ranked top 5 or so. So she's often mentioned as a potential matchup for at the time, Ronda Rousey is the champion. So she's going to be a big test for Shevchenko as a newcomer. But, if we start getting ahead of ourselves, the thought of a stand-up battle between Holly Holm and Shevchenko sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's incredibly interesting. Shevchenko, I like as a prospect. Amanda Nunes, though, she's always had those problems with sort of cardio and being taken out of the first round and after that, quitting after. But she's incredibly dedicated. And a lot of women in the UFC have, now that women's MMA has come to the UFC, have improved exponentially. Because obviously there's a lot more money in it. So there's a lot more coaching investment. Coach is obviously going to spend more time with them because they're on a bigger stage. So they seem to have improved a lot. So I can't say with absolute confidence that Amanda Nunes has been able to still has. There we go. Got the words right. Still has the problems that she once had. But with her wins, though, Shayna Baszler is very past it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, she hasn't really done it when she was in the US. When she joined the UFC, did she? She didn't look the part that you'd expect from a hype, nor did she in The Ultimate Fighter.
Big time. And there was Sheila Gaff, who kind of bowled it. I mean, she was TKO'd twice quick. I mean, Sheila Gaff's a good fighter, but against grapplers, she just can't take it. Jermaine Durandamy, she's good. I'll give her that. There was a good win, but first round, she overwhelmed her. Sarah McMahon, obviously the very, very elite win. But McMahon was bizarre in that fight. She had her hands low. Like, really stupidly low for someone who hits as hard as Amanda Nunes. And obviously Amanda Nunes dropped her and is able to lock up the rear naked choke. Shevchenko, I don't think is going to like make those basic mistakes. I mean, this is someone who's like 52-2 in kickboxing. This isn't her first time to the rodeo. She's got great Muay Thai. I think she's going to be able to outstrike Nunes. I think Nunes is going to give her problems early, but I think Shevchenko is going to be able to clinch her, grapple her, make her tire her out, and even if she concedes the first round, I think she's going to take the last two, possibly get a late finish. What's your prediction for this one?
I was just going to say this isn't one of her 52 wins over Jędrzejczyk as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, which is interesting. Obviously, she seems much bigger now, doesn't she? She's a bigger weight class now, but
yeah, she's a bantamweight.
Shows she's technically very good. Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm leaning towards Nunes, but I don't know. Like you say, Shevchenko could pull it out.
Yeah, well, I'm taking Shevchenko in this one. I'm just sort of sorry, just to clarify the kickboxing record, I just looked it up. 56-2, not 52-2. Okay. Yeah, she's a very interesting talent, especially like to do that on 8 days' notice against Sarah Kaufman. That is exceptional.
Yes.
That is pretty impressive. So yeah. Exceptional. Great stuff, Valentina Shevchenko. We hope you pull it out. Well, I do, since I'm picking her. But yeah, she's made me a fan just by being a very interesting person with sort of like, I'd love to see more interviews of her as well. Just, I like the kind of fighters who have these different approaches to, training in general. Because I think there's a lot of battles between, we saw in like the latest Ultimate Fighter with Conor McGregor and Uriah Faber, with the decline of the very, very team aspect of MMA, you know? Mm-hmm. Like sort of training like a wrestling team, like, oh, your brothers in arms, sort of coming up like that, everything for the team. But when something's missing for that team, someone needs to kind of jump ship. And with Conor McGregor having that very individual approach to coaching, being very, very effective and being shown to be effective in the show. So it's kind of interesting when someone has a very unique approach to, like, a very diverse background in coaching and like where they get their techniques and their knowledge from. So it's I
think in that show as well, Conor McGregor was given a more talented pool of fighters from Europe. I think the American ones weren't probably their best.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. Anyways. Let's move on to the fight headlining the prelims. Brandon Thatch versus Sia Baharzada. Baharzada, I wrote an article a very, very long time ago for Extreme MMA about my top prospects coming into the UFC. Number one was Khabib Nurmagomedov. This was before he fought Kamal Shalarus. So, yeah, did that. I called him to be champion, and he's still not fulfilled that prediction, and it's really annoying.
Got to stay fit.
Yeah. People laughed at me when I said he could beat. I think it was Ben Henderson was champ at the time. Yeah. So when I said he could beat him, but oh well. And yeah, and Brandon Thatch is another guy who rose through. Oh yeah, Sia Baharzada. I picked him on that, and then he had the knockout over Paulo Thiago, and now he's spent so much time on the bench, and And yeah, the last two performances he pulled out. Dong Hyun Kim, okay, obviously that's not that shameful. Dong Hyun Kim is very good. But John Howard as well, like that decision loss. And I don't remember anything from these fights. When you sort of think back, do you remember kind of any kind of graphic from this fight? Do you have any image in your head in memory? I've seen them a couple of times. I watched them again recently, but it's just sort of they were so unimpressive, underwhelming. Bahadazadeh from Afghanistan. I think he's one of those guys, because if you follow him on social media, he's very, very up himself. He's very sort of passionate. He's very kind of forceful with his hype. And I think he's someone who maybe bought their own hype a little too much, and is one of those guys who thinks just those kind of very profound, kind of very philosophical statements on fighting and that, and are enough to carry you. But he's 31 now. He's kind of declined in this. He's had a lot of injuries. So this is a really, really essential fight for him if he wants to make any kind of claims. The quick knockout over Paulo Thiago was impressive, and he had some success outside of the UFC. But I just don't see him pulling out in this one. Brandon Thatcher's another guy fighting for validation here. He's fighting he was a very, very exciting prospect, just like Sia Bahadazadeh, taking out Paulo Thiago. A bit of a kind of mutual narrative going on here. Interesting. Takes out Paulo Thiago, quick knockout, and everybody thinks he's a very, very fearsome fighter. Gets taken out by Ben Henderson, gets taken out by Gunnar Nelson. To be honest, two wins that aren't that embarrassing as losses, but he needs to fight for his validation if he's going to make any kind of run at welterweight. I'm pricking Brandon Thatcher in this one because I just don't believe Sia Bahadazadeh really has it to bring to the UFC. He's obviously got a quite good skill set. He's got very good hands, but yeah, Thatcher I see as a better skill set. He's got a very good training team. He's got team elevation, so I think he's going to have more tools to be able to pull out in this fight. What do you reckon, Marcus?
No, I agree with you. I think Thatch is very highly rated on a local level. He's very highly rated in his gyms. Like they say, he's the best in training, and they're all a bit confused at why he hasn't got over yet. And his father was a very highly ranked kickboxer as well, wasn't he? And I think they're using this fight to get him in the win column and just get him going, because they probably running out of ideas of what to do with him if he loses this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Thatch by knockout here. It's a shame. Bahadazadeh seemed like a very interesting guy. I mean, he had the interesting backstory initially from being from Afghanistan and having that connection with a place that's in such turmoil. And he has that kind of almost Cain Velasquez story of immigrating to country, then studying martial arts and getting over that. But yeah, I don't expect we'll be seeing him that much more. He's the kind of prospect that I called badly, in my opinion. Although injuries, things happen. Shit happens,
Yeah.
Okay, other fight on UFC 196 that there's quite a few that are interesting. I mean, Eric Silva, Nordin Taleb. Eric Silva's declined, and he's noticeably declined since they brought in USADA testing. All of a sudden, Eric Silva doesn't have cardio, he doesn't have that explosiveness, and he doesn't have abs anymore. Suspicious.
Yeah, yes, he's been used as the poster boy for post-testing difference, isn't he? That he's the one that's dropped off the most. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. But he always seems to have, is it like one good performance, one bad performance? And he's been very inconsistent.
Yeah, I think Eric Silva's one of those guys who I think is very, very good. Is very, very good offensively, but just has no defense whatsoever. Like, he's so complacent in getting hit. He's a tough guy. I mean, like the Matt Brown fight, he took a ton of damage, ridiculous, inhuman amount of damage. He's a tough fucking guy, but he can't just walk through these shots. He needs to block them. He needs to parry them. He needs to move out the way. Something. You can't just take that piece. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not particularly interested in this fight. He might get a quick finish, or it could just be terrible. Chaz Skelly is someone I'm very interested in seeing, though. Chaz Skelly is a fucking beast. I think he holds the record for, in modern UFC, the most fights in times, because he fought 2 times in 13 days. So he had to weight cut twice in 13 days. And woo, that did take a toll. But it was fucking impressive. Because, yeah, he fought Tom Nimanaki at UFC. It was August 23rd, 2014. And then September 5th, 2014. And 13 days later, he fought Sean Soriano again. And that fight, he was exhausted through that, but kept pushing. And he sort of is able to resort to, I've heard a term used for this, but I can't remember. But sort of like those techniques that you know so well that the muscle memory is just so ingrained and you can pull that out no matter how fucking tired you are.
Yeah.
He pulled that off, and then he pulled out 2 finishes over Jim Allers and Kevin Souza. So, yeah, he's a very interesting prospect on the rise. He's a beast, very tough guy. Headlining the prelim card on Fight Pass, though, is a very, very cool fight. Diego Sanchez versus Jim Miller. Who do you take in this one, Marcus?
Probably Jim Miller. I think it's the kind of opponent that could suit him. Obviously, he didn't quite come through on the hopes many had for him with his dominant Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but Diego Sanchez, obviously, is a bit of another inconsistent fighter, but he doesn't get in the win column that much these days, so I think I'll go for Jim Miller.
Coolio. That's I agree with that sort of in a way. Diego Sanchez is cool. He always brings a fun fight. He's very scrappy, but obviously he's got those technical disadvantages, and I think he's one of those guys who likes being thought of as that kind of scrappy brawler. Jim Miller, I think, is just that bit smarter. He's going to be able to take advantage of quite a few things. It's a shame. He's a very, very talented fighter, but he's just come up against guys who are just a little bit better, He's sort of had a tough run recently, fighting some more of the elite guys. He was coming back a bit after, with two kind of impressive submission wins, but that was all the way back in 2014, like nearly 2 years ago now. And, obviously he had the incredible performance at the end of 2012 with Joe Lozon at UFC 155. He's always good for a fight. This is going to be a fucking awesome fight. So, a really nice little treat we've got on Fight Pass here. But yeah, it's not the most relevant when it comes to the lightweight rankings, but it's a fun one. So, kind of the perfect one for a Fight Pass main event, don't you think?
Yeah, that's it. That's its position, and it's correctly placed, yeah.
Coolio. Alright, cool. Anything else you want to shout out before we let these fine people get on with their day?
I'll just take a bit of bone of contention with the end of the last episode where you were saying that the Punch Drunk Philosophers have free will on whether to share and subscribe. I'd say their genetics and life experiences have doomed them to a predetermined outcome.
Okay, well, we can say that. Well, okay, if your genetics and life experiences have doomed you to like and subscribe, then please do. It's all good. It's all good. All right, peace out, motherfuckers. Have a good week. Enjoy the fights.